When detectives first laid the 277-page manifesto on the table, they thought they were staring at madness. Scribbled notes, angry rants, a chaotic diary of frustration. But the more they read, the more they realized this wasn't chaos at all. It was structure, organization, calculation. The husband and wife hadn't been losing their grip on reality. They had been tightening it around a terrifying new one. And that's where this story shifts from disturbing to truly chilling. I want you to imagine this. Picture a couple sitting in their living room late at night, not watching TV, not scrolling their phones, but instead bent over notebooks, trading ideas about who should live and who should die, whispering about neighbors, writing down names, plotting routes, setting dates. That's what investigators uncovered. Two people feeding each other's worst fears until their entire world became a closed loop of paranoia and rage. This wasn't one person spiraling alone. This was reinforcement, feedback loop, a dangerous duet. And here's the first safety lesson of part 2. When paranoia and anger find validation, they don't dissolve, they multiply. The couple wrote about enemies. They described traitors in their community, police officers who couldn't be trusted, judges who deserved justice. But the most haunting thing, their language shifted from they and them into we and us. We are chosen. We are soldiers. We will cleanse the corruption. You see, once you start believing you're not just angry, but righteous, the barrier between thought and action begins to crumble. One FBI profiler who later reviewed the case said something that stopped me cold. He said, "The danger wasn't just that they were planning violence. The danger was that they believed it was necessary." That's the line you never want to see someone cross. The moment when violence stops being an option and becomes, in their mind, a duty. Now, here's where I want to slow down and make this personal. Maybe you've known someone who seemed angry all the time. Maybe you've even brushed it off. They're just venting. They don't mean it. But the truth is, words matter. Anger voiced often enough starts to feel like truth. And when two people feed each other's anger, when every complaint gets reinforced, that anger hardens into a worldview. If you ever hear someone justifying violence, even as a joke, take it seriously. It's better to be cautious than to regret silence. Investigators didn't just find names in that manifesto. They found diagrams, street maps, schedules. The couple had logged when neighbors left for work, when they came home, which houses had kids, which didn't. It wasn't scribbles anymore. It was logistics. One page listed weak points of certain homes. Fences easy to climb, windows left open, doors rarely locked. Let that sink in. Someone out there had studied their neighbors like prey. And here's the hard truth. If someone is determined to study you, they can. Which means your safety comes not from being invisible, but from being unpredictable and protected. Don't fall into rigid routines. Lock your doors, even in safe neighborhoods. Install motion lights. Build layers of deterrence. Predators plan. Survivors prepare. When the couple was confronted with the evidence, their reactions were as chilling as the manifesto itself. The wife was defiant. "We were just writing ideas," she insisted. "It's not a crime to think." The husband, he was calm. Calm. He looked the detective in the eye and said, "You don't see it yet, but you will. We're not crazy. We're right." That's when the investigators realized. These two weren't ashamed. They weren't afraid. They were convinced they had been caught too early, like their mission was incomplete. This is where the law struggles. How do you punish intent? How do you prosecute words before they become actions? It's a debate that has followed every manifesto case in America. At what point does free speech cross into threat? At what point does venting cross into plotting? For the community, though, the debate didn't matter. Fear had already taken root. Imagine living in that neighborhood, discovering your name was in that manifesto. How would you sleep? Would you ever walk to your mailbox the same way again? Some neighbors moved away. Some installed cameras, alarms, new locks. Others withdrew, suspicious of everyone. Because once you learn evil was living next door, waving politely as you mowed your lawn, how do you ever trust a smile again? And here's where the second major survival lesson of part 2 comes in. Trust your instincts. One neighbor said she always felt uneasy around the couple. I'd see the way they looked at me, and I'd get this cold feeling. I told myself I was being paranoid. But now I wish I'd trusted that feeling sooner. Your instincts are ancient survival tools. They evolved to warn you before your brain can rationalize danger away. If you feel uneasy, don't dismiss it. Take precautions. Investigate. Distance yourself. Your gut is not paranoia. It's protection. Legally, the couple faced charges ranging from conspiracy to commit murder, to making terrorist threats, to possession of illegal weapons found alongside the notebooks. Their trial became a local spectacle. In the courtroom, the manifesto was read aloud. Page after page, the words dripped with hate. Jurors sat frozen, jaws tight, some with tears in their eyes. A neighbor who testified said, "I kept waiting for someone to say it was all a mistake. But there it was, my name written down. They wanted me dead." The couple's attorney argued it was just dark fantasy writing, that no crime had actually been committed. But prosecutors countered, this wasn't fiction. This was preparation. And preparation is the first act of violence. I want to pause here because this is where your role as a viewer becomes vital. If you see someone around you slipping into obsession, isolating, venting violent fantasies, don't look away. Don't assume someone else will act. Sometimes the only thing standing between a notebook and a body count is one person who speaks up. The jury convicted them. Sentences were heavy. The manifesto now sits in evidence, locked away. A chilling monument to what could have been. But the shadow it left on the community will never fully fade. Because evil doesn't always come wearing a mask. Sometimes it's a husband and wife sipping coffee in their kitchen, smiling politely across the fence, while inside their drawer sits a 277-page plan to destroy you. And here's the final survival tool I want to leave you with tonight. Evil often hides in plain sight, but it always leaves cracks. Pay attention to the cracks. Notice changes. Notice hostility that never cools. Notice obsession with violence. Notice and act. Because silence isn't neutral. Silence is permission. Thanks for watching. If you stayed until the end, it means this story gripped you, and hopefully it gave you tools that might one day protect you. Please subscribe to Crimes After Dark so you never miss when we release another real crime-turned-survival lesson. Don't forget to like, share this video with someone who might need it, and leave your thoughts or case suggestions in the comments. Because the more we learn together, the harder it becomes for evil to hide among us. And see you on the next one.